Now, our next Snap Talk speaker is Jim Bryson, also goes by James. He has been writing and editing for 20 years. He and Harold have collaborated on several books. In addition, he has a successful career as an engineer in the construction industry. Jim currently lives in Western Maryland, where he writes for a variety of clients in all genres, including fiction, nonfiction, theology, biography, poetry, and memoir. Current projects include a cookbook of his most popular recipes presented in humorous prose. When he is not writing, he can be found laying waste to the woods with a Stihl chainsaw or carving mountain roads on one of his motorcycles. Come on up, Jim.
Thank you. All right, good morning. I was wondering why Harold invited me back after last year, and then when I heard him say he wanted younger people out here, that made a lot of sense. Harold and I have a real kinship. We both have the same barber, and I think it's... All right, so I am a fairly good writer. I am not a fairly good public speaker, but I'm going to do my best here. As the man said, I've been writing for quite a while. I write for a variety of authors. It's the passion of my life. It is the calling of my life, and I do it with intensity. I do what may not be apparent to some who have ever tried to edit someone else's work, in that let me just tell you what happens. I look at a paragraph and I go, what did this poor SOB try to say? What in the world are they trying to say? And then I try to uncover it, and then I'll revise the paragraph. Sometimes I just blow the thing off and rewrite it. But in order to do this, and to do this well, I have to know the heart of the author. And keep in mind that often this is a stranger, or started as a stranger. Now, when I work with Harold, I have a pretty good idea. We go back a long time. We go back to a hostel in Lake Nauru, freezing one night, and he's working on something, and I'm going, hey, and I just first trip with the guy, barely knew him. I said, what are you doing? What are you working on? Yeah, this book. So I started to look at it. I said, okay, would you like some help? And that was the beginning. I remember when I marked the whole thing up over the 3-week trip, and I finally gave it to him in London, and we were all going to fly in our different directions. And I thought, well, that's the end of that budding relationship, because I murdered it, and he wrote back in 2 weeks thanking me profusely and making me feel a lot better than I really was. Well, typically, when I start working with an author, I've got some questions, all right? And the questions are, in general, they go like this. What are you trying to say? Who are you trying to say it to? And what effect are you trying to create? What are you trying to do? All right? Now, those are simple questions to ask and difficult questions to answer. But in the process, I'm doing a few things. I'm driving the author's attention to what he or she has produced. But I'm also getting to know the author. And getting to know the author is vital. Okay? Because if I don't have the author's heart, and I'm not going to catch the flow of their spirit, and I'm not going to know how to revise their words the way they want them. And remember, it's not the words in and of themselves, but it's the words that convey the message, and it's the message that bears evidence of the Spirit, and it's the Spirit goes back to the redeemed heart, and the redeemed heart goes back to what piece of heaven are you pulling down from earth? What do you want the world to know, and what do you hope to bring forth, okay? The fire snatched from the altar, through the printed page into the heart of the reader. The printed page is nothing. It's the medium. It's the middleman. It's get rid of it if you can, okay? Sometimes I think books are the most overrated thing on the planet, and yet they're vital because they convey the Spirit of God as come through the hearts of redeemed men and women. That's what it's all about. That's what editing is about. That's what revision is about. That's what clarity is about. And this is what we're trying to do. It's very difficult to receive a message from a book that's poorly written. You begin to think, did they compose it in the second grade while they were out at recess, okay? I don't want to make fun of second graders, but look, there's a level of professionalism, there's a level of quality that I think is necessary. We all sit in this building. So far, the HVA system has been wonderful. We all take it for granted. It's not too hot, it's not too cool, the lighting is just right. We all are comfortable. These are professional attributes. People work very, very hard to give us a foundation of how we exist. Writing is the same way. Perfect writing makes the writing disappear, okay? If I can edit, if you write it as well as you can and I edit it as well as you can, and we've both done our jobs well, the words become transparent. The writing disappears. If it reads like it was written, then somebody didn't do their job, and I should probably mail the check back. There's an old adage. It says, if you have a good story, tell it. If you have a bad story, write it. How many writers do I have in here? How many writers? Come on. Now, you guys put your hand down and keep them down. How many people want to be writers? Aha. All right. There's always more. Let's define what a writer is. What is a writer? One who writes. You want to be a writer? Start. You've probably already started in your mind. You probably go to bed at night, wake up in the morning, idle moments, coffee breaks, riding on the bus, when your wife finally shuts up, whenever, your moment of peace. And I'm speaking for a guy, I'm sorry. Ladies, you can jump me later. Moments of peace, moments of clarity, moments of serendipitous concentration where suddenly there's a stream of words flowing through you, okay? If that's you, if that's what happens with you, consider writing them down, okay? You've got to start. You've got to start somewhere. Garrison Keillor used to talk about how every monologue he had every week from his show, Lake Wobegon, or Prairie Home Companion, about his mythical hometown, he always had the same opening line. He used to say, it's been a quiet week in Lake Wobegon, my hometown. Every week, and then he would launch a monologue, and everyone was different. But he said he was very thankful for that first line because it saved him of the struggle that many writers feel when they start with the first line. So start anywhere. Start in the middle if you have to. Okay, when Guy Duché wrote Faust, he wrote the middle act first, then he wrote the end, then he finally wrote the beginning. I don't care where you start. Put something down, anything. I feel cold, it's hot, I wonder where I'm going to go. What's for lunch? Why did she look at me that way? That was a frown. No, that was a wrinkle. Why did the eyebrow go up? I'm beginning to see deeper and deeper. Here's what I feel. I wonder what people in hell are thinking. I wonder if heaven sees. I wonder if God ever sighs. Did Jesus fart? I don't care. Say something. Put it down. I got that from Harold's son. I can't claim that. Ayn Rand started out two of her greatest books. Howard Rourke Laughed. Beautiful opening. The second one was, Who was John Galt? Okay? Scarlett O'Hara was not beautiful, but few men noticed when caught by her charms. You know, Call Me Ishmael. God started with in the beginning, and he liked it so much he did it twice. Okay? My buddy Harold over here started probably the best line I've ever heard, and then he took it out. And the best line was, remove the supernatural from Christianity, and you no longer have Christianity. Dig it. Someday that's going to go back in. Good writing comes from the heart, because the heart is the battleground for the human race. When Satan wants to stop, when oppression wants to come, it's going to attack our hearts in some form or fashion. If the enemy can't get to you, he's going to get to your kids because your kids are close to your heart. Or he's going to get to other loved ones because your kids are going to close to your heart. Or he's going to wreck a motorcycle because your motorcycle's... No, wait a minute. All right. Good writing comes from the heart. When I want to get to know a writer, I want to get to know their heart. Here's how I do it. A lot of people talk about joy. Love joy. Got to follow joy, you shall be set, whatever. I'm not a theologian. My parents were married. Okay, I'm going to look for the heart. And the way I do it, oftentimes than not, is I follow the pain. All right? I want to follow a person's pain. Now, that's going to sound a little weird. I follow the pain because the pain leads me to the wounds. The wounds lead me to the values. I can't wound you in an area that you don't care about. Okay? Pain is not always a negative. It's not always from the enemy. It can be the result of sin. It can be the result of love. We have this idea in our hearts that love is always, porpoise tears and puppy pee, okay? No, it's not that at all. Love will lead us to pain. Love will wound us. Look at Jesus, okay? You get this man talking about Pakistan, he's going to break, all right? I've seen him do it. He loves Pakistan. I'm going to follow the pain. I'm going to get the author to finally start talking to me. They're not going to know they're talking about me or talking to me about themselves. They think they're talking about their writing, but their writing reveals them, all right? Years ago, I got a manuscript, and this guy's first sentence, he comes out with a first sentence, yeah, boom. Then the second sentence is beating up the first sentence, and then the third sentence jumps on and takes both of them on, and they're both knocking the crap out of each other. You get down to the end of the paragraph, and they're just all tearing it up. And I'll go, who is this guy, 2 paragraphs later, up comes the first sentence again, and it's a big fight, it's a big melee. I finally get on the phone and say, hey, I got your manuscript, I got your email, I'd like to talk to you a little bit. Who are you, what do you do? Oh, I'm a sweet pastor in Spokane, Washington. I love people, and baloney. So I hang up, and then I Google the guy's name, and it turns out that he's a local, and he took his high school football team to the state championship as a linebacker. He further went on to Eastern Washington University as a defensive lineman for 4 years. The guy's about 6'6", 320 pounds, and he loves beating people up. And that's what his writing was. I said, hooah, I got it. Now I know how to help him. Now I know how to clarify the message that's burning in his heart and wants to come out in a clear, unfiltered stream. I got it. I remember another lady, I'll give you one more example. She would write her first sentence. Again, topic, sentence, and paragraphs are very important. She would write her first sentence, and it was guarded. She wouldn't make an entire point. She would make half a point. And then the next sentence would apologize for the half a point she just made. And the third sentence would try to explain it all, but divert any possible criticism. And it was heartbreaking. It's like, honey, just spit it out. What is wrong? And it took a couple of months, and then I found out what was wrong. She'd been abused as a child her whole life. And when you're abused as a child, one of the things you learn, your life is pain. It's the worst kind of pain. And you learn not to tick off your accuser. Because anything that ticks off the accuser, okay? She was afraid to make a statement. She was afraid that somebody was going to come down on her. She was afraid that somebody was going to hurt her. And you should see her right now. Look out, baby. It's not like I didn't put her in therapy. I didn't do anything except encourage her to say it. Just say it, okay? Don't write the way you think writing should sound. Don't even write the way you think you should sound. Close your eyes, cut a vein, and bleed all over it. Do it! And don't worry about what anyone else thinks, especially some editor who needs a haircut and needs to learn 30 pounds, okay? Do not worry, okay? There are enough critics in the world. You don't need to be one. All right, I got that off my chest. Thank you very much. Your hearts are precious. Your words are sacred to the Father. As you begin, elements of that quality will be there, and there'll be others. You're a work in progress, okay? A long time ago, I heard a person say, if you can do anything else in life but write, you're not a writer. And I think that person was a little snotty, okay? I can tell you that in the beginning, you'll be able to do a lot of other things besides write. You'll be able to take care of your kids, you'll be able to get on a bus and go to work, you'll be able to get on a computer, because that's life. That's life. But if you do it long enough, and if you do it well enough, and if you follow the muse, okay, or in our vernacular, God's Spirit, follow where He's trying to reveal. He is trying to reveal the love of God shed abroad in your heart. You see, we've got theology. Now, I know I'm talking to half a room full of theologians here. We've got think of theology as a pure white light, okay? And the goal of theologians, among other things, is to try to present the truth, God's truth, with the least amount of bias, okay? They want clarity. They're looking for clarity. They want to remove all Western bias, male bias, white guy bias, guys who need a haircut, any kind of bias, okay? So it's pure. But now I want you to think of that pure white light. How long can you look at pure white light until you go, well, that's boring. All right? Now, take the pure white light, and I want you to shine it through a stained glass window, something beautiful, something carved, okay? Suddenly, I'm seeing a thing of beauty. Now, I want you to think of every one of you as a stained glass window, uniquely carved by your Creator. Okay? You are the manifestation of God's glory, which starts as white light, but then it comes through you. It comes through your personality. It comes through your character. And hopefully it manifests in your writing, if you're a writer. It's in your cooking, if you're a cook. If it's your singing, if it's in your singing. I'm talking to writers, okay? You represent the infinite glory of the unfathomable God who created a universe full of variety, all right? No one is out. We are all different, just like everyone else, okay? Aspire to that. Aspire to that in your mind. When you sit down, you may sound, when I write, I sound like Garrison Keillor in the beginning. Now I sound like me, but it took several years. Okay, it's going to take time. That's what I want you to go for. All right, I got 5 minutes. I'll see if I can get this story in. 1981, I get out of the Navy. I'm going to work Newport News Shipbuilding and Dry Dock Company. I'm a young kid. I don't know much. Now I'm an old man, and I know even less. I work night shift on the section that overhauls the nuclear reactors of submarines. I worked from 11 at night to 8 in the morning so that I could go to college. I was going to engineering school. And there was an hour overlap built between night shift and day shift, okay? So, and the idea was we would give a turnover, what night shift did so that day shift could continue it. Anybody's ever worked in a factory knows how that goes. It ended up that hour was storytelling hour, and the stories were inevitably what happened on last night's raccoon hunt, all right? Now, I'm not a hunter, I got nothing against it, but I never knew there was so much to know about hunting raccoons, all right? And after a while, I figured out raccoon hunting involves 4 things, right? Obviously, it involves raccoons and blue tick hounds and firearms with live ammunition and copious amounts of alcohol, all right? And these guys would be running around in the woods till about 3 in the morning, come home, take a shower, put away the dogs, throw the raccoons in the freezer, take an hour's sleep, and show up at work ready to start welding high-pressure steam pipe and nuclear submarines. Wonderful. So one day I worked up the courage and I said, all right, how do you teach a dog to tree a raccoon? How do you do that? Because apparently the dogs, they follow the scent and they're up on, there's a raccoon up in a tree and, they're, burp, 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 they're up there going nuts. And I said, well, Jim, it's pretty easy. You get you a puppy when it's ready to go out and you throw it in with the rest of the dogs and dogs do what dogs do. They all run together. The puppy doesn't have a clue. The other dogs finally, and this is in the middle of the night, middle of the hunt. They're all drunk. And they finally, all the dogs tree a raccoon and the puppy's just kind of sniffing around the tree. Oh yeah, George is here. Alice was here. Oh, Fred was here. Son of a gun, he got fixed. Sorry to hear it, And so then you pull back the experienced dogs and you leave the puppy. And then you shine your light. They wear these headlamps, I guess. You shine your light on the raccoon and you shoot it. But you don't kill it. You wound it. And when you wound that raccoon, preferably you shoot its tail off. It's going to come down out of that tree with a vengeance. And it's looking to kill the first live, warm-blooded thing it finds, which happens to be the hapless little puppy, going, oh, this is nice. Oh, what's that? I wonder if it's going to like me. No, it's not going to like you. It's going to kill you. And for the next 45 seconds, the most furious fight you can imagine ensues between a raging animal who's fighting for its life and some stupid puppy that wonders, what in the world did I ever do to you? And then the hunters will shoot the raccoon and drag the puppy away. And about 3-4 weeks later, the puppy heals of its wounds. And then they take it hunting again. But this time, it's a little different. And that puppy is no longer a puppy. She's a full-fledged hound, and she's looking for a raccoon. From that day forward, she will tree a raccoon every time you go to the woods. Now, when I work with authors, I'm really looking for 2 things. Yeah? I want to know who shot your tail off, and I want to know who you're looking to kill. When I get that, you see, if I get it, you got it, right? If I know it, I've led you through the process of discovery, of you finding it out yourself. Editing is about making you a better you, making a writer a better writer. Finding the words, finding the courage to find the words that express the unique manifestation of God's life in you, redeemed men and women. We have this treasure in earthen vessels, and we bear witness throughout our lives. Let your writing bear the mark of the redeeming God, the God who died, the God who rose again. Let your writing bear his spirit, bear his life, come alive. I'm going to speak something over to you right now, and then I'm going to shut up, I promise. I call forth words. I call forth people's spirits. I call forth writers' pens. I call forth a writing pen, a ready pen. I call forth the evidence manifest in a way that we can convey to the world. I call forth the words. I call forth the writers. I call forth the hearts. I open the minds, and I declare, God, I declare rivers pouring forth, rivers of clarity, rivers of insight, rivers of the manifestation of God's Spirit. Establish it, write it, cut a vein. Don't fear the critics. Fear lethargy. Don't fear the critics. The hell with the critics. That's where they are anyway. Thank you, and God bless.
Our next speaker is Michael Fenesteel. He's a missionary, evangelist, pastor in the Philippines. His wife is Marlene, and they have 2 children, and he is ready to come on up.
Okay, praise the Lord. I just want to say this to our editor friend. I hope I never have to follow you again. Harold, that's not fair. Praise God.